Morning, class. Are you all there? Start with a smile, everybody. Parlema, I'm online. Everybody, ready? Yes. Good morning, everybody. Right, this is an international business class. Okay, yesterday I spoke to you about World Bank, and I'll continue. Okay, see, I was talking to you about how the World Bank came about. I was talking also of the situation in the world between 1914 and 1918, and the situation after 1918, and how international business was affected because uh, countries without a regulator, there was no regulator for international business. So countries were doing beggar thy neighbor policies by cutting down on the costs. They were suffering, and finally, no one had international business at all. I'll explain it again. If country A wants to buy shoes and country B offers the shoes for 40 rupees per pair, country C also makes shoes. So it will tell country A, I will give you the shoes for 38 rupees. And there's a country D who's also following what's happening. And what country D says, 38, I'll give you for 35. So country B has been watching. Country B has been giving country A shoes for 40, whereas C offers for 38 and D offers for 35. So country A says, why not? I'll offer you for 30. Finally, excuse me, 30 could be the cost of the shoes, original cost of the shoes. So if they are offering for 30, they'll have no profit at all. Where's the profit margin? So someone else, again, the C and D may say, why not 28, why not 25? So finally, no one will get business, and no one will get enough money at all. There'll be no business. So without a regulator, international business was suffering. All right. This was the case in 1920s. Then we have the League of Nations, which was the prelude to the United Nations. But the League of Nations was not very successful. It was not very powerful. So we went on to the Second World War. The reasons for the Second World War are different. That is not part of our syllabus, and even the Great Depression is not part of our syllabus. But if you want to know, at the end of some class, I can explain to you for general knowledge sake. It's a very interesting concept, actually. The only concern for us was the big burst of, or the stock exchange, the disaster in the stock exchange, which was called a Black Thursday, and how 600 banks in the US closed down. All right, in the early 1920s, I don't remember the year. 600 banks closed down. Yesterday, I was talking to you about how two reasons why banks fail. Now we find that thanks to Yes Bank, we have a third reason how banks fail. All right, so here we are. Uh, Next, we come to 1944-45. In 1944, there was a conference in Bretton Woods, and 1945, isn't it? The United Nations came about. At the same time, the world thought of one different concept. They wanted to help, basically, the European countries who had suffered during the war to recover from the war. So if you wanted to recover, Bish, good morning. So if you wanted to recover, they needed money. So how was this money going to be given? See, there were some reasons like Russia. If Russia helped people, then the people would be aligned towards Russia and communism. If America helped people, people will be aligned towards US and capitalism. These factors also had something to do with it. So political factors always are there, whether you want it or not. So finally, what happened is, um, there was a Cold War, of course, but that is also a concern, because Cold War and how various businesses suffered, all this was there. But all businesses also were trying to recover. If you see BMW, what it was said is, I read in a book. It was an English author from the British Library. It was a very beautiful case study. Not a case study, it was a story like, I believe, BMW in the early 1950s or late 45, after 1945, the Second World War ended. 1939 to 1945 was the Second World War. When the war ended, I believe BMW took a good look at itself and it said, if customers are going to this thing about going to have a picture or an image about BMW cars, what image would they have? Then the CEO, he realized that there were various models of cars, all right, various models of cars that BMW was giving out, and from small cars to big cars, all kinds of cars. So if you asked a consumer what is a BMW, he had to think. All right, he had to think. So BMW said, we first have to give an image in the customer's car mind. So they started with the sedan type of car. So, in fact, BMW manufactured only the sedan cars for nearly 20 to 30 years. It stopped with the Mini, I think, and this one Mini Cooper or something. In Britain, I cannot remember properly. But for nearly 25 to 30 years, BMW made only the sedan type of cars. So that if you say BMW, the image in people's mind was the sedan type of cars. All right. Yeah, hello Sepide. Yeah, the sedan, Yamaha, good morning. The sedan type of car. So all businesses were trying very hard to come back. Now, if you ask me why they wanted to come back, was that, again, I told you yesterday, during the First World War, as well as since we have come to 1945, as well as during the Second World War. See, BMW is from Germany. Not only BMW, in all the countries, wherever there were automobile or manufacturers or automotive manufacturers, they were all told by their respective governments to stop manufacturing any commercial products like cars, trucks, etc. You manufacture trucks which are useful for war. You manufacture arms and ammunition. You manufacture fighter planes. Anything and everything that is useful for war, because the Second World War was so terrible. How many million died? 6 million Jews died thanks to the Holocaust. I will not talk about that, that's not our business. But if you want to know more details about it, you can ask me. At the end of some class, when we are a little light, in a light mood, I can explain to you all these concepts, which are not really, indirectly connected with international business. How indirectly connected is because these countries who suffered are just trying to even come up today. You have great scope in countries like the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Poland, broken up Serbia, Croatia, that is from Yugoslavia. For 40 years, General Tito ruled Yugoslavia, and then Yugoslavia broke up into Serbia, Croatia, I think five countries. So there are a lot of things that have happened. All these things have a direct or indirect connection with international business. I told you the example of Daewoo, how they won over the bid made by IBM, because they offered Poland the opportunity of They are the marketing network. All right. Similarly, I gave you the example of the Shelby Cobra car, where the Poland offered them the factory of where they were making fighter planes for the war, and they gave employment to people. All right. There is a there's a organization or a setup called NUMI, NUMMI. I would like you to Google it because I can't remember the full name. It is the manufacturing of cars. Who did it? It is this one. Who is this? Ford had a unused car manufacturing setup, a facility in I can't remember the place, in one place in US, and Honda or Toyota, I think Toyota. They joined with Ford, and Toyota said that I will manufacture cars which will be Ford cars as well as Toyota cars in your factory. Okay, in what you're going to give, what Ford was offering was that a distribution network for Toyota, and what Toyota was offering is for superior manufacturing practices. Okay, win-win situation. So please Google NUMMI, NUMI. The full form I used to know, but I haven't used it for a while now, so I've forgotten. So NUMMI. This is the automobile, association between Toyota and Ford company. So when you have a win-win situation, it helps. All right, both the businesses, and both are happy. So here we are. We are coming to the World Bank. Well, the World Bank was started in about 1944-45. Why was it so? Because, as I told you, the people, the America, for example, wanted to help the people of European countries who had suffered during the war, and there had to be a proper official channel to do it. So people like England, France, etc., who were, who had their head above the water. These let's just see, who had their head above the water, wanted to help the countries ravaged by the Second World War. So that is why the World Bank was started. All right. So as I told you, in the conventional sense, World Bank is not a bank as such. It consists of two things. The one is the IDA. The IDA is International Development Association. It gives no interest and no interest loans to low income countries. If you see the various in the 1990s, there were a lot of bore wells dug up in Karnataka, and these were through IDA loans. What IDA gives? Soft loans. Soft loans in with a smile we can say, if you say, like, we know it all kind of look. Soft loans are those loans which actually need not pay back. No interest loans, no. But India has a very good this thing, a very good history of very good paying back properly. And today also we are really fighting. We should be proud of our country, of the way we have dealt with the coronavirus. I'm very proud to be an Indian, and proud to be teaching you all too. So, yes, as I told you, we are forced to sit at home. So, how we can help? The first thing we can help is by sitting at home, breaking the line. Yeah. And the second thing is we do our bit. We do, like, little drops of water make the mighty ocean. Sit at home, do your work, do your studies. That is the way to help in the general system, because see, the government also has to look after the education, how it is progressing, etc. And we are doing online classes, and that is a good thing. We'll do our bit. Rest we'll leave it to the government and God, isn't it? Okay. So we are in the World Bank, as I told you. In the conventional form, it's not a bank as such, but there is a bank bit in it. The first one is IDA, and the second one is IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. It provides loans, credits, and grants. This bank was originally for the sake of helping European countries to develop their economies. Later on, it became everybody's this thing. Now here, remember, it works on the quota basis. I told you yesterday. I'd like to explain again. The quota is like this. Suppose, say, USA is the biggest vote has the biggest voting rights. Why? Because it has contributed the most. So most quotas. For example, if USA has contributed, say, 100 financial units to, to the World Bank, and say India has contributed about 30 financial units. France has contributed about 60 financial units. So USA gets 100 quotas or 100 voting rights. Our country, say I said 30, right? 30 quotas or 30 voting rights. Similarly, France would get 60 quotas or 60 financial rights. Guys, after my stroke, I tend to drool on my left side. So you'll have to kindly excuse me because I keep wiping my mouth. I'm a little conscious about it. So kindly excuse me if I'm using the tissue again and again. So the World Bank Group works with closely associated with three other institutions. The first one is the International Financial Corporation, IFC. It provides investment. Look at your slide. Investment, advice, and asset management. Investment, advice, and asset management to corporations and countries. Okay, corporations and countries. Sorry, governments of countries. The next one is MICA. See, this is very important. You're going into a foreign country. You're worried about your investment. You're worried about your consignment. So, who will the Indian company, you know, do the insurance? If an Indian firm is sending something, say, to the Gulf, will an Indian company insure it? It will become, when you think of the reals and the Kuwaiti dinars, it's quite a big amount. I gave you the example yesterday. During 1990, I remember during just before the war or something, just before the invasion of Kuwait by Iraq. I remember I was in Kuwait, and this was I'm a repatriate from Kuwait. I told you the Iraqi soldiers were in my house also the first day. That is, I think, August 2, 1990. 4 months, 3 months before my son was born. So 3 or 4 months, yeah. Now, I was telling you how, where was I? Yeah, about the shipment from India. There was a shipment of, I don't know, meat or fish or something. I think meat, and the freezers of the ship stopped working, and the meat was bad. They had to dump it into the sea. Poor ocean, isn't it? How much it takes. So they had to dump it into the ocean, and then one of our Oriental Insurance, I think, was the insurer for that consignment, and they nearly went bankrupt, I think, because the consignment was the other part was the Crown Prince of Kuwait. So I think Oriental Insurance managed it. I cannot remember properly because that was the time when the war happened, when America came into Kuwait, and the war happened between Kuwait and Iraq, and even the Saudi Arabia was involved. Originally started with the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, and they're on and there goes. I'm not talking about the war where America and UK entered Iraq, saying there are WMDs, that is weapons of mass destruction, and they didn't find any. That's the thing. See, I've been through. I was telling you, I've been through. Baghdad when I came back from Kuwait. I'm a repatriate of Kuwait during the war. Not the war. The war that has not started. The Iraqi invasion. Iraq invaded Kuwait, and within 24 hours, it declared that Kuwait was the 19th province of Iraq. The phone lines open to Iraq. You could not call India, but the phone lines open to Iraq. Okay, and then what happened? Um, Iraqi soldiers were all over when Iraq invaded Kuwait. We had all these commandos, the guys, the people, Iraqi who entered my house. They entered because I was in the city. I was next to the across the road. Our apartment was across the road from Kuwait Sheraton, and there was a um, roundabout near Kuwait Sheraton where all the action started. We watched it for a couple of hours. I'll explain to you I'll explain to you if you want all the gory details later. I was not harmed, but we were in the apartment, and I think the Iraqis wanted to make sure that there was no resistance from the apartments. They did not know that we poor Indians are the ones who stay in the apartments. Palestinians, Iraqis, and all the foreigners used to stay in the apartments. The Iraqis, the Kuwaitis were too rich. They were staying in their, they're staying in villas. But the Iraqis wanted to make sure that no resistance was coming from the apartment. So they entered our apartment and checked. And the people who checked were commandos. They were filled with, they had knee length boots, and they were all filled with dust. They had come trekking in the hot Kuwaiti desert. They had come. So this was all there. So we are talking about, see, why all these kind of incursions and all have a direct impact on international business. I had a student from Iran, and I had a student from Iran, and he was telling me his uncle was a pilot, and he became a prisoner of war in Iraq. When he came back, the body had no legs or arms, no head either. So there are a lot of things like this. Let me not talk about all that now. Well, I have come back. What I was trying to tell you is I had from Kuwait, I had come to Baghdad, and in a rickety old bus that I have not even traveled in India. We do not have in India. We do not have rickety old buses. Yes, Ramesh, we don't have rickety old buses, but there was a Iraqi bus, rickety old bus, which brought us from Kuwait to Iraq, Baghdad, and as soon as we crossed the border, it was evident when you see the houses, the slums, and all, it was evident that we had left the Kuwait border. Well, we stayed in a Baghdad hotel for 4 days. When we flew from Baghdad to Amman, Amman is in Jordan, the capital. And in Amman, we stayed in the airport itself for 2.5 days. One sandwich was $10, 10 American dollars. You can imagine. One sandwich, a small sandwich, was 10 American dollars. We had to share that one also because we didn't have much dollars with us. So we stayed in the airport. They had put Amman had put Jordanians had put a lot of beds in the airport for us to sleep. Single type of beds. At least there was something to sleep. And then we were airlifted by Air India. Jai Hind.